You don't feel weird being in a first-class car?
No, we paid for it. It's not hurting anybody. No.
Dude, we are Jews on a train in Poland. Fucking think about it.
Tonight on our second Oscar movie episode, we're talking about Jesse Eisenberg's A Real Pain. Although it's not his directorial debut, that would technically be A24's 2022 comedy drama When You Finish Saving the World, an adapted version of Eisenberg's Audible drama of the same name. A Real Pain seems like a more fully realized effort, and not just because it's made $18 million at the box office, rather than the $196,000 that his directorial debut made.
Feeling what?
Like this creepy feeling that, we're like royalty on this train? I mean, does no one else see the irony here?
Jesus,
man, like eating fancy food and sitting up here when 80 years ago we would have been herded into the backs of these fucking things like cattle.
Jesse Eisenberg wrote, directed, and stars in this movie. Eisenberg's had an interesting career so far, especially for a guy who's only 41. In 2005, he starred in Noah Baumbach's The Squid and the Whale as a kid whose parents, played by Laura Linney and Jeff Daniels, announced their separation after his mom's aspiring writing career begins to eclipse his dad's, whose career is stalling out. In 2009, he starred in both Adventureland and Zombieland. Zombieland connected him with Emma Stone, whose production company Fruit Tree that she founded with her husband, former SNL writer Dave McCary, chose When You Finish Saving the World as their debut project with A24 to launch and try out producing. They've since produced Problemista, Poor Things, I Saw the TV Glow, and now A Real Pain, as well as Nathan Fielder's The Curse. But Eisenberg's big breakthrough was, unfortunately, as Mark Zuckerberg in David Fincher's The Social Network.
I haven't been following his life trajectory, partly because I don't want to think of myself as associated with somebody like that. It's not like I played a great golfer or something and I want to and now people think I'm a great golfer. It's like this guy that's doing kind of doing things that are problematic, taking away, fact checking and safety concerns, making people who are already threatened in this world more threatened.
With all the recent Zuckerberg-Trump stuff, Eisenberg has said on the Real Pain press tour, he doesn't want to be associated with Mark Zuckerberg. Just thought that was funny. At this point, his acting credits are too numerous to mention. In 2011, after taking part in classes with the Bloomington Playwrights Project, Eisenberg made his debut as an off-Broadway playwright, and has since written and starred in several plays, including Annunciation, The Revisionist, and The Spoils, as well as becoming a short story writer, including a story called Mongolia, about two friends who travel to East Asia, hoping for the experience of a lifetime, finding themselves in a yurt in an ecotourism center that he wrote for tablet. Mongolia would go on to form the basis for A Real Pain, as well as an ad that both disturbed and amused him for a tour of Auschwitz with a complimentary lunch. Eisenberg took the idea from Mongolia, but made it more personal, to tell a story of his experience as a third-generation Polish-American Jew.
What the flying fuck, man?
I'm so
Why
sorry.
would you do
Fuck,
that?
because Grandma, the restaurant, you said it was the best thing that ever happened to you.
Yeah, but that was different, man. I was 18. I needed direction.
A Real Pain also stars Kieran Culkin. Jesse and Kieran play cousins named David and Benji, who go to Poland to try to see where their Holocaust-surviving grandmother came from after she dies. Kieran Culkin is not Jewish, he's Irish Catholic. Neither Jesse or Kieran Culkin were totally sure that he was the right fit. Eisenberg felt guilty and hesitant about not casting a Jewish actor, and Kieran Culkin wasn't sure he wanted to go to Poland and be away from his family right after finishing Succession. He even tried to back out 2 weeks before filming, having to be set straight by his friend and ex-girlfriend Emma Stone, who reminded him that the crew was already there. Michal Damick, who was a cinematographer hired by Jesse to work on the film, is Polish, and Jesse was a fan of his previous work, and during COVID, while Jesse wrote and used Google Maps, he was able to actually location scout. Along with Kieran Culkin, Eisenberg cast Jennifer Grey as Marcia, who looked so different from her days in Ferris Bueller and Dirty Dancing, Kurt Ejewan as Eloge, a Rwandan genocide survivor who converted to Judaism, Will Sharp as the tour guide James, and Liza Sadavi and Daniel Oreskes. Each of these characters is pretty disconnected from Poland and the tour's history, either like James and Eloge, because they're not Polish or born Jewish, but drawn to that history, or because generations of being in America have disconnected them from their heritage. They're also pretty disconnected from each other, but the story focuses primarily on David and Benji, who used to be extremely close, but have since grown apart.
What a troubled young man.
He wants to be good. You can see the spark. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Forgive me if I don't see this magical spark.
Oh, Mark, stop it. He's tormented for whatever reason.
As David lives in New York City and has a wife and kids, and Benji lives in Binghamton and is unemployed, adrift, and depressed. The anxiety and depression of it all is on purpose, with Jesse saying he wanted to place two guys with anxiety and depression and modern problems in a World War II setting as a thought experiment. After seeing many sites, including some which were demolished, of Jewish identity, the climax of the tour sees them visiting a concentration camp in Lublin. The extermination camp, with gas chambers stained by Zyklon B, is shockingly close to the little quiet city. It can be seen from the hotel, showing how life just went on even as the Holocaust happened. There's a direct, maybe not parallel, but connection or idea of life going on for Jewish American descendants of Holocaust survivors who don't think of this history, might not even know much about it, and go through life without really having an organic feeling of connection to this place. Now being tourists and having to confront it as life goes on normally around them, and the commodified, discordant way they go on this tour, eating fancy food, traveling first class on the train, staying in comfortable hotels. Screenplay earned Jesse Eisenberg a Best Original Screenplay nomination, as well as a Best Supporting Actor nomination for Kieran Culkin.
You know, and I jog and I meditate and I go to work in the morning and I come home at the end of the day and I move forward, you know, because I know that my pain is unexceptional, so I don't feel the need to burden everybody with it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. God, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right, David.
I'm sorry, I'm ranting. I am just